Pauline Bonaparte, Napoleon's younger sister, was considered by her older brother to be the most beautiful of their 7 sisters and brothers. She was the lone person who abstained from participating in his political games of power. Despite the fact that her siblings were elevated to various thrones across Europe, Pauline was once recorded as declaring, "I do not care for crowns. If I had wanted one, I could have had one. Nevertheless, I decided to leave that choice up to my relatives." She was the 6th of 8 children to be born to lawyer Charles Marie Bonaparte and Maria Letizia Ramolino. She was born on October 20th, 1780 in Ajaccio, which is located on the island of Corsica. Instead of trying to redraw the political landscape of Europe, Pauline decided to live a life full of exciting romantic encounters. She garnered the admiration of the European beau monde as an epitome of elegance, despite the fact that she was involved in a number of scandals. She did this by using her beauty and audacity to win over a long train of lovers. The French commander Louis Stanislas de Girardin once said about her, "Few women have savored the pleasure of being beautiful more." She was considered by Napoleon himself to be the best living creature and the only one who never asks for anything. Pauline had a side that was both devoted and fearless, despite the fact that she was often frivolous and feckless. She was the only one of his siblings to pay him a visit while he was exiled on the island of Elba in 1814, following the failure of his military campaign in Russia. She also provided him with financial assistance at this time. Pauline even made the request to visit her husband on the desolate island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean while he was serving his second banishment, which was to St. Helena following his defeat at Waterloo. Family fortunes. Pauline had a happy and secure childhood up to the time she was in her early teens, despite the fact that she lost her father when she was only 5 years old. Then, in the year 1793, things became worse. Her brother Lucien got involved in a political dispute, and as a result, the family had no choice but to leave Corsica and move to the mainland of France. They had a difficult time making ends meet once they were settled in Marseille. In the same year, Napoleon made his name for the first time in the military, beginning a climb that would significantly improve his family's financial situation. Pauline never completed her official education. This was something that was expected of women of high social standing in order for them to be able to marry affluent men. At the age of 15, her beauty was enough to attract the attention of the people who served with her brother in the military. She had a couple of brief flings until she found true love with the seasoned French rebel Stanislas Fréron. He was disapproved of by Pauline's mother since he was involved with another mistress who was 26 years Pauline's senior. There was no shortage of potential partners. One aspiring leader was informed by Napoleon, "You have nothing. She does not own anything. What is the grand total of that? Nothing at all." In the end, her brother was the one who succeeded in convincing her to think about Charles Leclerc. They wed in 1797, and the following year, in 1798, the couple's one and only child, Dermide, was born. Wife, widow, princess. Napoleon, who was now first consul, dispatched Pauline's husband to the Caribbean in the year 1801 to command 23,000 French soldiers in an effort to put down an ongoing rebellion in Saint-Domingue, which is now a part of Haiti, and to safeguard France's ability to extract sugar from its colony. 1802 was the year when Pauline and her son came after. Leclerc was successful in achieving early successes over the rebels under Toussaint Louverture's leadership. The triumph that Leclerc had was just fleeting. A resumption of hostilities occurred at the same time as an outbreak of yellow fever, which began to reduce the size of the French army. In the midst of falling morale, Pauline provided a social diversion by arranging balls and fêtes, with herself as the focal point of each event. In addition to that, she converted the family's mansion into a military hospital. However, despite her husband's best efforts, Leclerc's wife did not go back to France. In a letter to Napoleon, Leclerc explained that she had made the decision to follow her husband's fortunes through good or ill. Leclerc passed away from yellow fever in November 1802, and Pauline and her son eventually made their way back to France. Pauline was truly heartbroken about the loss of her spouse, but she quickly began having sexual relationships with other people. Her romantic life was often the subject of rumors, but Napoleon's adversaries in the royalist camp would regularly use these rumors and inflate their significance. According to Flora Fraser, author of the book Pauline Bonaparte, Venus of Empire, Pauline was often singled out by Bourbon sympathizers as a nymphomaniac who cared not whether her partner or partners were men or women, or, when in Haiti with Leclerc, whether they were his officers or Haitians who opposed the French army. The goal was never anything other than to bring her brother's name into disrepute as a result. Napoleon had his sights set on imperial authority and was well aware that in order to achieve this goal, his reputation had to be impeccable. His sister's image was tightly tied to his own, and as a result, he went on another search for a new spouse for Pauline. This time, he found the extremely wealthy and well-connected Prince Camillo Borghese. Napoleon believed that having the prince in the family would help him strengthen links with French-occupied Italy. They tied the knot in June of 1803. Fit for a princess. Marie-Étienne Nittot was Napoleon's official jeweler and the founder of the French jewelry firm Chaumet, which he established in 1780. This épée de Blaise, often known as ears of wheat, tiara dates from to 1811 and belonged to Pauline Bonaparte. It was made of gold and silver, and it was set with diamonds. It was put up for auction in 2021, and it brought in more than $850,000. At first, Pauline was pleased with the excellent looks of the 28-year-old prince from the Mediterranean, as well as the title of princess, a substantial pension, property, and the usage of the famous Borghese jewels. But Pauline quickly lost hope, and this contributed to the decline of their marriage. She insulted him in a variety of ways, one of which was to nickname him his serene idiot. Pauline's health has recently started to give her cause for concern. In the year 1804, Prince Borghese took Pauline to the baths of Pisa for the purpose of her recovery. However, he would not permit her to bring her son with her. The child, who was just 6 years old, developed a fever and passed unexpectedly while her mother was away. Pauline pointed the finger towards the prince. Now that their mismatched relationship had finally come to an end, she managed to convince Napoleon to let her go back to Paris instead of going to Rome with Prince Borghese. She despised her husband and turned once more to having extramarital affairs as a means of escape. Immortal beauty. Borghese commissioned Antonio Canova, the most prominent neoclassical sculptor working at the time, to create a portrait of his new wife not long after the couple had tied the knot. The artist was looking for a mythological subject matter and decided to go with Diana, who was the Roman virgin goddess of the hunt. Pauline scoffed at the absurdity of the proposition and instead chose to honor Venus, the Roman goddess of love. Titled Venus Victrix, Venus Victorious, the ensuing masterwork has remained as Pauline's greatest claim to fame. Pauline's inherent vanity is brought into stark relief by the fact that she has chosen to portray herself as Venus. However, as Fraser points out, it also demonstrated that she had disregard for convention and even an enjoyment in breaking with convention. The decision that Pauline made to pose naked was scandalous for a woman of her status during that time period. Nonetheless, the technical virtuosity of the sculpture earned universal appreciation when it was finished in 1808. When viewed in the dark with a torchlight, as Canova suggested, the figure's polished marble surface gave the impression that it was actual flesh. Visitors to the Galleria Borghese in Rome are still awestruck by Pauline's shape, even in the modern day. It seems that Napoleon was oblivious to the majority of Pauline's strange behavior. This choice stands in stark contrast to the individual who, upon becoming Emperor of France in 1804, placed an emphasis on good morals and restricted the liberties that women had earned as a result of the French Revolution. For Napoleon, family was one thing, and empire was something else entirely. No one more so than his sister represented the disparity between the two than she did. Loyal to the last. The years brought a deterioration in Pauline's already precarious health situation. She suffered from persistent stomach pain and went to a variety of spas in the hope of finding respite or a solution to her condition. She frequently insisted on being transported in a litter so that she wouldn't have to walk. Her demands became more and more arbitrary as time went on. She instructed her attendants to either use their cloaks as footstools or lay them down on the ground so that she might take a rest. In the year 1815, when Napoleon was arrested and sentenced to life in prison on St. Helena, Pauline returned to Rome in an effort to convince the British authorities to release her brother. 5 years later, when reports began to circulate that Napoleon's health was deteriorating, she made several requests for authorization to visit him and be there when he breathes his last. In the year 1821, he passed away while she was still looking for an answer. Her own health began to deteriorate over time due to a condition that is thought to be stomach cancer. Pauline Borghese moved back in with her husband in Palazzo Borghese in the year 1825, which was 20 years after the couple had divorced. After another 3 months, she passed away at that location. We hope you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're a history addict, and please let us know about what civilization or time period we should talk about. Also, watch another video here.